So this whole notion that you can't have balance in your life is complete and utter bullshit. It's just made up by people who are trying to find excuses.
You have two little ones, and you're at a point now where you're really active with them because they're in sports. They can't drive, so how do you do that?
Yeah, well, first of all, I love talking about this subject. So this whole notion that you can't have balance in your life is complete and utter bullshit. It's just made up by people who are trying to find excuses to be a shitty human being half the time. Now, you will be hard-pressed to find something that's more obsessive than competitive bodybuilding. That is the utmost pinnacle of self-absorbed obsessiveness. If you can make bodybuilding at a high level work and have a balance of life, you can do it with anything. And what I always heard when I was in my 20s and I really wanted that muscle tech contract because that $3,000 a month was going to make me rich, I always heard, John, you can't work a job and be the best you can be at bodybuilding. You can't train, you'll be too tired. And I just never got it because, and this is all going somewhere, by the way. I just never got it. I never understood it because when I worked at the bank, I thought, this is great. I'm on a schedule. I get up. Bodybuilding is all about discipline and consistency. That's really what it boils down to. Consistent, hard work over a long period of time. So I'm forced to get up and eat breakfast. I have my protein shake at 10 o'clock. I have my lunch at work, and then I have another protein shake at work at 3 o'clock, and I'm in a corporate setting. I can very easily mix a protein shake up and take it into a meeting with me. And then I get home and I have a meal. I go train. I come home and I have my post-workout meal. So I never, it helped me to have discipline. Now, then you throw kids into the mix. Well, this is another really big challenge, especially the first year when they're really little, which was easily, Dave, the hardest year of my life. Easily. Way harder than when I almost died or anything. It was very, very challenging. Stress, lack of sleep, etc. So you can't, I think that you can't think of splitting time. You've got to make sure that the time is quality time. Because a lot of people say, well, I spend an hour and a half with my kids every night. And, I'll say, well, yeah, that's great. What do you guys do? Well, we sit on the couch and watch TV. I'm like, well, what do you do when you're sitting there? Well, I'm on my phone. I'm answering emails. That's not time with your kids. What is better would be if you go out for 20 minutes and throw a baseball or a football with your kid. To me, the child is going to, that's going to make them feel good, not sitting there when you're not paying attention to them. So number one, the first rule is the time is, don't think about the quantity of the time, think about the quality of the time. Make sure you're engaged and you guys are, same thing with a marriage, right? Make sure that you're really engaged and that time is impressive. Now what do? You bake stuff into a schedule. That's called prioritizing. So if having a balanced life and your family is important to you, then you put it into your schedule. If it's that hard for you to do that because you're very busy, which is absolutely common, then put it in your schedule, I'm in a very fortunate position now to where I can kind of create my own schedule. It wasn't always like that. But there are certain things that I have in my schedule, for example, it changes by during the time of the year, but we're in August going to start football season. So I'm only doing 1 or 2 appearances in August, September, and October. That's it. Because I'm not going to miss my kids' practices. That is my priority. So you just have to look at your priorities and you have to make time. If you're really busy and you have to work a lot of hours to support your family, I totally understand, but make sure that when you're spending the hour or 2 hours with your kids, make sure that it's quality time. And you're not going to work 7 days a week, hopefully. So what do you do on the day off? You go do stuff with your family half the day or all day. Really try to make up for it. That just takes priority. It's just planning and setting priorities. But man, I've seen in bodybuilding, and I'm sure you've seen in powerlifting, people just can't do that, and they just let their family, they just let their lives just fall apart. I've seen it over and over and over and over. And I'm not saying all the doing that stuff I just said is easy, But when you kind of start practicing it, and it just becomes like when you wake up, you don't say, I wonder if I'm going to train today. No, I'm just going to train. There is no decision-making process. The balance stuff, should be the same thing. You don't go, wonder if I should spend some time with my kids today. You don't do that. You just do it. You bake it into your life so that's a part of your life. And, that's kind of the magic formula to me. It's just making it a priority and making sure the time is quality time and just sticking to it.
I'll add to that. I don't think you're going to disagree with anything that I'm going to say, but I'm going to challenge the quality time, but not really with quantity time. But the reason why I think the balance is, I think balance is a terrible term.
Yeah,
it's a terrible term for this, because balance of what?
Yeah.
Because to me, when you say balance, I'm assuming something that's...
It's like 50-50, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There's more entities involved here.
Yeah.
There's
more than one and two.
Hell yeah. I mean, there's...
That's a great point.
There's 5, 6,
that's
possibly.
A great point.
If you put faith in there, you're throwing another one.
Yep.
So you got a lot of different things that play a role there, where to hit on one thing that you said that I agree with is to go back to the guys that are in that prime or trying to go all in with the sport, or as JM and I talked about, that say they'll do whatever it takes. Rarely will they ever do whatever it takes, because if you really push them, would you kill somebody? You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's really answer that question.
Yeah.
Or is this just a phrase of whatever it takes within what boundary?
Mm-hmm.
Well, where's that boundary? All right. Where I start to get into that is I understand making something a top priority, which you did with bodybuilding, I did with powerlifting. That doesn't mean there aren't other priorities. There is number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. I was working on an education. I was working on always trying to have, I think there's been 2 weeks in my entire life I've been unemployed since I was 12. So always looking, if I didn't have a job, I was looking for a job. Then taking whatever job I had, no matter how shitty it was, just because that was an important value of mine. And trying to build some foundation of something. I didn't know what it was going to be, for when the powerlifting was done, because it's, like I said, it was first. But I was smart enough to realize at some point it's going to be done, and I'm going to have something.
Yeah.
To not have anything underneath that, to me, is just ignorance and stupidity.
Yeah.
Because there's no degree of intelligence to be able to think that either one of any strength sport is going to provide you enough for retirement. There's none. All right. And then now if you throw a family in there, it's irresponsibility.
Yeah.
So it's gone beyond ignorance and stupidity, but now you're just irresponsible.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing, there is time. I mean, how long? Bodybuilding takes a lot more time than powerlifting. All right. How much time does powerlifting really take? At the most 4 hours, 4 days a week, maybe 5 days a week. I mean, we're talking a part-time job here.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of other time. So I think that's an important thing to put out there, because as well as I do, the number of people that just do that, then they go home and play video games.
Oh yeah.
All right. They're wasting time that they could read a book.
Right.
They could learn a skill online.
Oh yeah.
They don't even need to move. And I understand sometimes when you're dieting, you can't move. I get that. I've been there, not to the same degree, but I've sat in the chair for 2 hours having to really take a piss, but not wanting to get up to take the piss.
Yeah.
But I'm still watching TV, right?
Yeah.
I could be watching a TED Talk. I could be watching something to educate myself. But going back to the quality thing, I think it's more of engagement. Like when you're with your kids and it's time that's with your kids, are you engaged? And that's kind of what you said. They're sitting there watching TV. Okay, that's great, but are you engaged? Mm-hmm. Are you having a communication? Are you talking about the show? Mm-hmm. If there's something in the show that's interesting, did you talk,
Right.
Or better yet, take them outside, do that. But I'm in a podcast with you right now. I'm engaged with you. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what they're doing. I'm right here, with you. So if it's friendship, something that you value, then I'm going to be engaged with you and not let you think that I'm thinking about other shit I have to do later today or work or whatever it is. And in this hour, 2 hours or whatever it's going to be, I just spent time with Dave.
Yeah.
All right. And that means a hell of a lot more than zero time or us just hanging out, watching fucking every episode of Breaking Bad, what I'm saying from that standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, from the quality standpoint, I've changed my view on that a little bit because my oldest son is autistic. So I'm always there when he comes home from school. So he gets off the bus. Well, it's summertime now. So say he gets off the bus at 3, 4 o'clock. I'm there. He may walk in and go straight to his room, take a nap, and I may not see him for 2 hours. Like yourself, I can work almost anywhere. I mean, I have to spend some time in the office, but for most part, 60% of my work is done at home. Now, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, he's going to come up after his nap and he's going to sit down on the couch and we're going to talk. All right. So I have to invest maybe 20, 30 hours for that 1 hour conversation. I'll do that any day of the week because if I wasn't there, that never would have happened.
Right.